You are Locked On Bears POSTCAST, part of Locked On Sports Chicago on the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day.
Welcome into the Locked On Bears postcast here on the Locked On Sports Chicago YouTube channel. My name's Joe George. You find me on Twitter at JoeGeorge92. Longtime Chicago sports fan, Bears fan. Why? I don't know. I don't know why we do this to ourselves. Why do we watch this team? Why do we suffer through this, through so many different regimes and quarterbacks, and just another disastrous day for the Bears to lose their third straight game, lose 19-3 to the 2-win Patriots coming into this game. The Bears were 6.5-point favorites. They were minus 270 on the money line. They were the clear favorite in this game, and they just got embarrassed. The offense is a total disaster. So we'll talk about the offense and just how bad of a football team the Bears really are. Because to be honest, right now as I sit here, and I don't really know why it would change, I'm not sure the Bears are going to win another football game this season. This can't continue. We'll talk about that from the coaching staff perspective. Today has to be an eye-opening experience for Ryan Poles, the McCaskey family. They have to be looking at this team and just being embarrassed by the product that is out there for the Bears right now. It's just not good enough. And we'll talk about Caleb Williams, his regression. It's real. It's there. It's not all his fault. It's not time to hit the panic button. But you cannot say that he's not probably playing the worst of the quarterbacks that were drafted this year. I mean, Drake May wasn't even that good in this game, but he was better than Caleb because the offense is just an absolute disaster. Let's talk about this game. So they lose 19-3. The offense can't do anything. The offense, and today's show is also brought to you by PrizePicks. Go to prizepicks.com/LockedOnNFL and use code all lowercase LockedOnNFL to win $50 instantly when you play $5. That's code LockedOnNFL to win $50 instantly when you play $5 on PrizePicks. So the Bears are a very bad football team. There's no doubt about that. They're not good. This season has gone from so much hope leaving London to just a total disaster the last 3 weeks. The Bears haven't scored a touchdown since the Hail Mary. They've done nothing. I lost track of the possessions there, but they showed the graphic. It was 19 straight possessions where they hadn't scored a touchdown. So it's got to be 22, 23 at this point this year where they're just not scoring anything. They're not accomplishing anything on offense. Because what's the most frustrating, I think, is that every single time the Bears give you a glimmer of hope with this offense, you see them take a step backwards. And it's not just, one step. It's an immediate step. It is a complete disaster what this offense is doing. Little moments in the game to pick out, right? Like you've got a nice completion to Keenan Allen. You got some nice runs from DeAndre Swift. And those are followed up by sacks, by errant throws, by bad play calls. Everything that could go wrong has go wrong with this offense. Caleb ended up getting sacked 9 times in this game. And a lot of that was the interior offensive line. There's a lot of injuries. And you give them a little bit of a pass for that. But you would just think at some point it would start to get a little bit better for the Bears offense, in the last 3 weeks. And it's gotten worse. It took, until the third quarter where they finally got Cole Kmet involved on 3 straight plays. The first one, a bad throw. It looked like Caleb was trying to say it was tipped, but it's just not a good throw. The next 2 plays are completions to Cole Kmet. So it took them forever to get him involved. DeAndre Swift, we saw moments where he was still clearly the best player on offense this year. But between Caleb and the way his inability to be an accurate quarterback, and I know he's really trying to push back against that notion, but between him, the offensive line, and then what you're getting out of Shane Waldron, who might be the worst offensive coordinator in the NFL, now that Luke Getsy's been fired by the Raiders last week, it's all bad for the Bears. There's nothing positive to take away from this game. There's really not. Like there was not a single thing where watching this game I was like, you know what? This is something they can build on. What I'm watching is a team that's collapsing and a team that's just fallen apart since the Hail Mary. Like all the momentum that you had at the end of that game before Tyreek Stevenson is celebrating and talking trash to fans, to the moment the Hail Mary is caught by Noah Brown, to what has happened in the last 2 weeks, it has just rolled downhill in a way that they can't seem to stop. They cannot get ahead of themselves. And it's all bad body language. It's all bad effort. It's all bad play calling. It's just all bad for the Chicago Bears. I mean, think about these first 3 possessions of this game. You get the really nice punt return. You get the new kickoff rule where he doesn't kick it far enough down the field before it touches. It lands outside the zone or whatever. So the Bears get the ball on the 40-yard line, and then they get the ball again on the 40-plus yard line. So they have less than 60 yards to go in the first 3 possessions. Each of the first 3 possessions, they got nothing out of it. They were totally incompetent in those drives. And that immediately was a huge red flag. As soon as this game starts and they get that punt return and then they accomplish nothing from it, you know that nothing has actually changed. They keep talking about it's on us. We have to be better. All the same old speak you hear from players and coaches talking to the media, but they can't execute any of it. They can't actually be better. I mean, the fact that you're on 20 plus drives without a touchdown, the longest drought of the season for any single team, how is that possible? How is it possible to have a lineup with Caleb Williams as your quarterback, Cole Kmet, DJ Moore, Keenan Allen, Rome Odunze, and DeAndre Swift, and you haven't scored a touchdown in over 20 drives? You scored 3 points against the Patriots. You got sacked 9 times in this game. They were 1 for like 10 on third down conversions in this game. They couldn't convert when it mattered the most. And that's a huge part of the problem. But even then, like, because they're non-competitive plays. Like the Bears aren't even throwing out there plays that you're like, oh, okay, like this just didn't work. Like they just got beat on this play. That's what's crazy is watching this game. There is no point where I'm sitting there watching it. It's like, oh, the Patriots just like they're a surprise football team. Like they're just, you know, Gerard Mayo's got them going in the right direction. At no point did I think that the Bears were outmatched by talent. But the other problem that this team clearly has, and there's been a lot of, you know, Dan Orlovsky and a lot of these, you know, quarterback analysis guys have done this on television this last week or on the radio, where they talk about some of the play design by Shane Waldron, where last week it was you saw 4 guys all on the left side of the field. Well, even in this game, there's a play in which I think everyone, including all the Bears players, like everyone thought the Patriots jumped off sides and Caleb overthrew Rome Odunze. But Rome Odunze and Cole Kmet are running side by side, 3 yards apart, so there's 3 guys around them. So even if it was a great ball, it's going to be in the tightest of zones possible for Caleb Williams to get it in there. So just once again, it's just a poor play design. Like they just do not do anything well offensively, and they're just a straight up a bad football team. And even in the defense, like I know they've got injuries and they only gave up 1 touchdown. It's all field goals for the most part today from the Patriots, but they were running the ball effectively. And you would think that like 19 points you can deal with. Only one time this season, last week, has a team scored over 21 points against the Bears defense this year. So you can't even criticize a defense that's banged up, where Montez Sweat is not getting back fast enough because he's still clearly hurt a little bit. You lost Billings, like you've lost guys. Brisker is on week 4 of being out with the same concussion, which is terrifying in itself that he's missed this much game time. And they're just running the ball on you. But at the end of the day, it's bend don't break, and they don't break. But the one thing that was keeping Matt Eberflus's job, in my opinion, so secure last year and even early parts of this season was that, hey, the defense is great. The defense was performing at a really elite level. And now I don't even think we can fairly put them in that category, but that can't be on them. That's got to be on the offense going 3 and out constantly, not being able to convert any third downs. It just makes it impossible for your defense to consistently be perfect, because that's what you're basically asking them to do right now. You're asking your defense to be totally and utterly perfect in a game. Give up 0 points because your offense can only score 3. That's what you're asking. Your offense hasn't scored in 20 plus drives. It's just the Bears are a very bad football team. I just can't believe that a team that won 7 games last year with Justin Fields and Bagent at quarterback, you bring in Caleb Williams and all this new talent and a new OC, and somehow it's gotten worse. And we'll talk about Caleb Williams and his regression because I do think it's real, but I'm not going to pin all this on him and say it was the wrong decision. It's absolutely not the wrong decision to take him. I'm not going to say, like, maybe you can argue Jaden Daniels already this season, but I'm not even there yet because I just feel like the incompetence around Caleb Williams, it starts at the top with Matt Eberflus and Shane Waldron, that they are not putting this team in position to succeed. The wide receivers are constantly not open. There's one play in this game where one of the sacks that Caleb had, one of the times that Caleb got sacked, they show the quarterback view, like the behind the quarterback view, and the pressure is getting in there so fast. Like Cole Kmet's the only wide receiver that's in the straight shot. He's not even broken out of his route yet before Caleb Williams is trying to scramble through the middle of the line of scrimmage and move forward. So, like, I don't know what Caleb is supposed to do when these receivers aren't open, when everything is developing too slowly, especially because they're pointing out on the broadcast, like it's so obvious to all of us watching that the Bears are actually, when they had any level of success, they're doing a three-step drop and getting the ball out, and they're moving the ball down the field. That first play of the second half to DJ Moore, like, hey, maybe they woke up. They get a nice run from DeAndre Swift, and then it's a disaster once again. It's baffling to me how this offense has gotten so much worse. And to me, what it means is it's not just you're out-coached, because they definitely are. Coaching, it starts there. But what happened in that Hail Mary game, it broke this football team. And I think there's only one solution to fixing that. And we're getting into that next, because you can't keep doing this. Like, you can't just keep rolling this team out there in the way that they've played the last 2 weeks and act like everything is hunky-dory and no big deal. Like, it's time to do something that they've never ever done and make, honestly, a real change, because it's the only thing that can save this season. It's the only thing that can stop us from having to do the same song and dance in 4 years when they have to draft another quarterback because they've broken this kid. Like, there's no way you watch Caleb Williams in college at USC or Oklahoma and are like, this makes any logical sense. It just doesn't. How just absolutely terrible they are. It looks like a team that just has kind of quit on the season. And you have all your divisional games, and you play the 49ers, who got Christian McCaffrey back, and you play the Seattle Seahawks, who will be fighting for a playoff spot. And the Chicago Bears might just be a 4-win football team this year. So, hey, maybe you can draft a franchise left tackle. But we got to talk about this game and what happened and why, if you've got a hope of saving this season, and not just saving it in terms of wins, forget about the playoffs. We're not talking about that next. We're just talking about saving Caleb Williams and saving the fact that you just cannot keep regressing in the manner that you have. We'll do that next year. My name's Joe George. It's the Locked On Bears postcast here on the Locked On Sports Chicago YouTube channel. We all need energy, right? We all need energy to watch the Chicago Bears because, my gosh, they are an exhausting watch. It's 12 o'clock. We're watching the game. The offense is doing nothing. Need a little bit of energy in our life. Our friends over at 5 Hour Energy know that being a passionate football fan isn't just a hobby. It's a way of life, sometimes a bad way of life if we're Bears fans. It takes a lot of energy to power through all-day tailgates, touchdown celebrations, if they score, or an agonizing second overtime. Every time I watch Caleb Williams drop back, like I'm expecting something positive to happen. They want me to talk about a big play from this game right here. There's DeAndre Carter punt return. Biggest play of the game. Felt like right there the Bears were going to have some momentum and be able to do something. So always go with your 5 Energy. 5 Energy knows that no matter what team you root for, being a fan requires heart, soul, and a whole lot of energy. Whether you're prepping for the big tailgate or ironing your jersey, your game day to-do list is always a mile long. That's why the limited edition the 5 Hour Energy Shot is here to help keep you fueled throughout the season. What's your fan fuel this week? Whatever it is, do it with a 5 Hour Energy, available at 5hourenergy.com, shipped nationwide. Join over 10 million users right now using PrizePicks. You can win up to 100 times your cash with just 4 simple picks. New strategy going forward, because you can pick more than less than in every single game across the NFL, college sports, whatever you want to use PrizePicks for. I'm going with less than Caleb Williams throwing yards. I'm going with less than DJ Moore receiving yards. I don't know how low they can put those numbers because I'm going less than what they're being listed. That's going to be my new strategy on PrizePicks until the Bears actually score a touchdown this season, because it's been 20-plus drives. So you can win 100 times your money on PrizePicks with as little as 4 picks. You can sign up today. You get $50 instantly when you play $5. The best part is you don't even have to win to get that bonus. It's totally guaranteed. I love doing that. I love having that guarantee for you. So take advantage of what's going on before the next Bears game, before the Sunday Night Football action. Always use PrizePicks. Download the app today and use code LOCKEDONNFL to get $50 instantly after you play your first $5 lineup. PrizePicks, run your game. All right, this cannot continue for the Bears. I know we are here to talk about today's game, but the biggest takeaway from today's game has to start at the very top of the organization. They have to do something that they've never done before. They have to fire a coach midseason. After this game, there is no way you can say that it's justified to keep Matt Eberflus and Shane Waldron as the head coach and offensive coordinator of this team. You just got embarrassed by the New England Patriots. You have not scored in over 20-plus drives. Your quarterback has been sacked, I think it's now 17 times in the last 2 weeks. So good luck getting him through the season healthy at this point. But you have to think about the future of the Bears. And the future of the Bears is not me making the playoffs this year. They are not going to do that. They have the toughest schedule in the NFL the rest of the year. They are going to ruin things like Thanksgiving for us as they get drubbed by the Detroit Lions. Like, that's what's going to happen this year. But you can still find a way for this season to come out the other end and be positive. And it starts with knowing that you're going to have a different head coach. They need to make that change right now. And I really don't want to hear any excuses about why they can or cannot do it. I don't care about a fifth year. I cannot believe that someone within the Bears organization told Adam Rank of the NFL Network that they do not expect a change to happen, that they expect Matt Eberflus to be the coach next year. I can't do that. I can't watch that. I cannot support that. I'll watch it because we suffer as Bears fans. But you have to make a change because you have to develop a quarterback. Like, this cannot be the same old song and dance. Caleb Williams is a better quarterback than Mitch Trubisky and Justin Fields will ever be. He might not be Jaden Daniels. He might not be C.J. Stroud, who you could have taken both those guys. But he can still be a really damn good quarterback in this league. And you have to stop the bleeding. Like, the players, there is no heart, no lack of effort from Zach here on the comments. And dropping your comments as we discuss this and everything else. Talking about the Bears' 19-3 loss to the Patriots. That stuff can't be fixed clearly with this team. Like, this team is fundamentally broken, and we saw it in this game. So today should have been the answer to the test handed to you of you have to make a coaching change. You cannot allow, as you start to play your divisional opponents, you can't allow this offensive coordinator and head coach to be here. And if you want to at least give me a firing of Shane Waldron and keeping Eberflus, I'll take it. Like, at a minimum, at the absolute minimum, Shane Waldron should not be calling plays for the Bears next week. It's at a bare minimum. Like, doing the littlest amount of work, that has to change. Because your offensive line is hurt. You're missing your left tackle and your right tackle. Tevin Jenkins has been hurt in 5 of the last 6 games. He can't be back next season. He's just not reliable enough. Bummer, but just constantly being out of games. But something has to change because you got to get these guys on the same page. Like, whether it's at practice, DJ Moore and Caleb Williams are still not on the same page. And they keep talking about why it's not happening. I keep hearing the word reps. Well, they've been together all this time. I think what we should have realized, when we were watching Hard Knocks, is that the fact that the Bears wouldn't allow cursing on television, but they allowed a montage of how bad Caleb Williams had been in training camp, should have been a sign of what was to come this season. But I never really thought it was going to be this bad. I mean, some of these things that are little things that help prove this, besides the fact that, we go back to last week, Matt Eberflus 3-18 on the road as the Bears head coach. No wins on Sundays on the road. Trying to justify his London win. 8 straight wins, yes, at Soldier Field. Well, that's now over because they lost to the Patriots. But little things, right? You get the ball back at the end of the second half. You have 1 timeout because your play caller cannot communicate, or maybe your quarterback. There's something wrong with the function of the offense where 2 times in the first half on the same possession, you're having to burn timeouts because the play call is just not getting to your quarterback fast enough. And he's not doing enough. Whether he's trying to do too much at the line of scrimmage, he's not telling the guys to play fast enough. There's just the plays not getting in quick enough. There's too much dysfunction, which you can clearly see, and that's a perfect moment for it. You have a drive where you're moving the ball a little bit at the end of the second half, I think it was, right? And they give the ball to Roschon Johnson on a halfback draw, and he gets stuffed 4 yards into the backfield. You're just not getting anything from Waldron that makes you go, okay, things are getting better. They're just getting worse. So I really don't think, and it's my biggest takeaway from this game, that there's any justification for this continuing besides being cheap. The only other one that, to me, it puts Ryan Poles, who I still want to straight in the line of fire, is that they are, Matt Eberflus and Ryan Poles, represented by the same agent. And if Ryan Poles is watching this game today and watching this season collapse on itself and look worse this year than it did last year with supposedly, and like I said, I still think a better quarterback, I don't know how you don't make a change. It's the only hope you have. And like I said, it's not about making the playoffs. It's not about winning a bunch of games. It's about development. It's about the future. It's that so going into year 2 with hopefully a new coach and a new offensive coordinator, Caleb Williams can actually take a major step forward and be the quarterback that we all thought he was going to be, the quarterback that we've seen glimpses with. They showed the graphic during the game. Weeks 4 through 6, he was the second best quarterback in the NFL. And you'd say, well, it was against terrible defenses. Well, they've played terrible defenses the last 3 weeks, and they're atrocious. So it's the yin and yang of this argument of like what's gone wrong and what's gone right. But just my biggest takeaway from the game today, this just can't continue. Like, if you do not want to be doing this where more coaches and more GMs are being fired and more quarterbacks are being drafted with high draft picks, and you're, watching these guys go play for the Pittsburgh Steelers and eventually other organizations and wash out there because proven that they're not great quarterbacks, but it's not acceptable what's going on. And anyone from the McCaskey family to Ryan Poles to Matt Eberflus, if he's not going to get fired, to when he looks at Shane Waldron, cannot say that this is justified of keeping your staff together. So an embarrassing loss to the Patriots, 19-3. Just a brutal day for the Chicago Bears to move to 4-5 on the season, to lose to a team that had 2 wins coming in. Pointed out here in the chat, Mac Jones now has more touchdowns in the month of November than the Chicago Bears. Well, everyone has more touchdowns than the Bears because the Bears can't score to save their life. They can really not move the ball efficiently. Like, that was the other thing with Shane Waldron where I kind of continue off of this before we talk about Caleb in this final segment coming up. It's just, I think I mentioned this in the first segment briefly, but every single time like the Bears, it felt like something positive was going their way, they seem to regress. And that to me is the biggest story of what has happened from the bye week to now, is that every single time, we see this offense, it just looks more and more like the first 3 weeks. That they're going back to what they think should work, not what actually works. And that to me is just the sign of stubbornness from your offensive coordinator. So, very bad day. We'll talk about Caleb Williams here in this next segment because it's not been good for him either. You cannot deny that he is regressing in a way that is a little terrifying for the Chicago Bears and us fans. But it's not the end of the world. It's not time to hit the panic button. Let's just talk about Caleb and what we've seen in this game in kind of the last 3 weeks, big picture-wise. Next year in the Locked On Bears postcast here on the Locked On Sports Chicago YouTube channel. Omaha Stakes. Nothing delivers comfort, quiet, and joy like the unrivaled quality and taste of Omaha Stakes. This year, skip the holiday hustle and bustle and save 50% off gourmet gifts site-wide at omahasteaks.com. Plus, get a $30 reward card when you shop early and score an extra $30 off with promo code NFL. With 5 generations of experience, this consistently delivers the world's best steak experience, and the gifting experts at Omaha Steaks have made it easy to deliver the perfect gift with thoughtfully crafted or curated gifts packages starting at $89.99. From legendary steaks to mouth-watering desserts and more. Save 50% off site-wide at omahasteaks.com. Plus, our listeners get an extra $30 off with promo code NFL and a $30 reward card when you shop early. That's 50% off at omahasteaks.com, O-M-A-H-A steaks.com, and an extra $30 off with promo code NFL. Minimum purchase may apply. All right, one more thing to get into in this game before we wrap up the show. We'll take another quick break here in just a second as we get a video loaded up here. But we'll just talk about Caleb Williams here for a second before we take that break. Caleb Williams is 110% regressing right now. The biggest takeaway for me that, like, as I see this unfolding, is that the overthrows are still a huge problem. That the accuracy is really what's the most concerning for me with Caleb. The fact that he cannot get on the same page with these guys, that they are not able to consistently move the ball because of inaccurate throws. Now, as much as I want to blame Shane Waldron for every single little thing, I think we just have to have a reality check here before, we crown all the problems on one guy. Caleb Williams is missing throws. He's missing guys high and outside. The timing is just not there. And that is what is just the most frustrating, is that they cannot get this timing with DJ Moore And really with Rome Odunze, the only really guy like he seems to have a good connection with is Keenan Allen. And frankly, it's the guy I want him to stop throwing to because he can move the chains, but he just doesn't have that explosive nature of what we want to see from a wide receiver on this team. He's not DJ Moore. He's not Rome Odunze. But it's the only guy that Caleb looks extra comfortable with right now is him. Because like there's the one where it's Rome Odunze. He's kind of breaking back towards the sidelines, and Caleb just shoots it right past him. And once again, like it just looks like timing. So that's what's the most concerning for me. And that's why what's the positive of that is that it's fixable. Is that it's not the end of the world, these things. And we'll talk about that more right after this because we got a deep dive into what's going on with Caleb Williams and his regression.
Locked On Bears is also brought to you by FanDuel Sportsbook, America's #1 sportsbook. And right now, new customers can bet $5 and get $150 in bonus bets if you win. It's a great way to get your betting jump-started here. A $5 bet on any of those or any of your other favorite sports. And if that bet hits, not only do you get the winnings for your bet, but also a bonus $150 in bonus bets. The FanDuel Sportsbook app gives you everything you need to place live bets as well, all in one place. So if you get a hunch in the middle of a game, you can check out the latest stats, view live play-by-play, and so much more on the same page where you place those bets. Just visit FanDuel.com to join today and get your $150 in bonus bets with your first $5 bet. That's FanDuel.com. Never waste a hunch and make every moment more with FanDuel.
All right, so this game, the other part of this regression there, sorry about that, jumping around a little bit, but I had to make sure we got that in there. Caleb Williams and the overthrowing of guys is number 2 on my list of concerns. The other one is that while he was sacked 9 times, and as bad as the offensive line and as banged up as the offensive line is, he's definitely holding the ball too long. And part of that, I will go back to Shane Waldron and say, well, why do they keep trying to do these long developing plays that are not working in this game? That when they're moving the ball efficiently down the field, then they drop back and they go into this long play action play, and Caleb's just getting hit. And he's holding on to the ball too long. The play calling's the wrong decision, and again, small positive here. None of these issues are not completely like unfixable. All of it is accuracy. Like the accuracy is there. We saw it in college with the deep stuff. Like some of the short issues that we've seen, like I think has reared its head a little bit for Caleb this year. But I'm sure if you listen to Dan Orlovsky or any of these guys this week, they're going to talk about footwork and probably being jumpy in the pocket because that seems very evident when you watch him as well. That he's just not comfortable back there. But why should he be? Why should Caleb Williams be comfortable behind this offensive line, with this offensive coordinator, with wide receivers who are literally never open? And the 1 or 2 times you are, Caleb's missing the mark. So it's even when he has the opportunity, he's just not getting it done in the way that you need him to. But I'll be honest, I don't think it matters. Like even if Caleb was, going like making every throw, every time he wasn't under immense pressure, and every time that a guy was clearly open or just semi-open, and he was making those throws, so the Bears was like 19-10. Like how much better is it? That's the thing. Is like as much as this regression does seem real for Caleb, and it is something that I think to kind of big picture of this show is that you're a bad football team, your coaches are not good enough, and if you want to stop the regression, you have to make the change to try to get some confidence in things going back, and you're going back your way. You have to do that so Caleb doesn't continue these bad habits, because we have seen so many quarterbacks, like we've all seen it, not just in Chicago, but across the NFL. We have seen so many quarterbacks throughout their time. Once they get hit like this, once they have these bad habits come into play, they never get fixed. And the Bears just cannot afford to do that with a quarterback with the talent of Caleb Williams. So the regression is real, but the things that are going wrong are fixable. And that's why, of all the things that happened in this loss to the Patriots, it's not the end-all, be-all. The world is not ending. Like, hopefully Caleb will be okay. The Bears will not be this season. They will not probably win more than 2 games the rest of the year. But that's going to do it for us. We are here after every single Bears, Bulls, Cubs, and Notre Dame game throughout the year. So come on, hang out with us next week as well after they play the Green Bay Packers, which I'm sure we'll all be feeling great about. Maybe they'll pull the upset and it'll salvage the season to at least get that win for the Bears in 2024. Find me on Twitter at JoeGeorge92. Hit that subscribe button if you haven't yet on YouTube. And make sure you follow Locked On Bears on YouTube as well, and wherever you get your audio available of these postcast shows immediately following as we sign off. And that will do it for us today. So thanks for hanging out with us. Thanks for being in the chat. Go Bears, and let's hope it gets a little bit better. Maybe some